Hello, everyone, and welcome to the coveted Watchmen top 10 movies of the year for each of us. So 20 movies total, but
we'll get
our
through
own
it
personal
quick because the other ones were a little
we share a few.
Yeah.
But like I said, these were our top 10 favorite movies of 2018. So you'll be watching this in 19.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I should say last year. So I'll start us out.
What you got?
These are in no particular order except for the last movie. The last movie that each of us talk about is our favorite of the year. But all these other ones before could be in any order.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about the favorite first. Your favorite,
your top one?
So the favorite was a movie I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. There was quite a bit of advertising for it, but it was, what's the director's name? Yorgos Lanthimos. The newest movie from Yorgos, who's directed Dogtooth, The Lobster, which I love. The Lobster.
Killing of a Sacred
Deer.
Deer.
That's a good movie too.
I really like
so he comes in strong again. It's a period piece. It's funny. It's dramatic. I highly recommend it. All the performances are great.
I need to watch it.
The music, the sets, very good movie. Very funny. It is slow at times, but it's worth a watch. So I recommend it.
For me, the first one we got on here is Star is Born. Okay, at first I thought this was not going to be a movie that I was going to enjoy at all. I was very turned off to the fact that it's the 5th remake of the same general story, and for some reason the title really bothered me.
I don't know.
No, it's like the 5th one. I swear, I think it's the 5th one.
I don't know.
And the title of Star is Born, I don't know, it just sounded like a painful drama, and I was just not looking forward to some stupid movie about a pop singer becoming famous. But then I saw it, and I was very surprised because
don't judge a book by
its cover. Usually you can, okay? Usually you can, but not with this. Bradley Cooper goes fucking off in this movie. He just his acting and everything, and even Lady Gaga herself, just the combination of the two of them together. It was written very well. It's put together well. Great acting on all corners. The story was compelling because I hadn't seen any other ones, but I knew there was some sort of demise for somebody. Whatever. Anyways, but I really liked it overall. Good writing, good acting, believable relationship between the two. Solid overall. Go to
The next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The next 5 movies we both have on the same list, so we can talk about them together. So the next one that we want to talk about is 8th Grade. Mm-hmm. You're not a big fan of Bo Burnham, but I really like Bo Burnham's comedy and his music and everything that he does. So I was super excited to see that he was directing.
I was just confused why he was directing.
Well, clearly
the trailer was well put together though, so that's.
8th Grade is a super accurate portrayal of 8th grade now. I mean, I haven't been in 8th grade for a while, but I could even relate to some of the things that were on screen. Mm-hmm. It was just a really realistic and a really tender movie, and I think one that it can appease anyone. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to see it.
The girl, I think she got nominated for a Golden Globe.
I think so. Yeah.
And obviously she did a great job, but this is what I think is important for any movie in general, is that I think what you desperately need, you need solid writing and you need compelling, interesting characters that are interesting to watch them interact and interweave with each other. Like, especially her relationship with her dad, I liked the most. Was probably the most not necessarily heartwarming, but the most heartfelt. Was the most believable, and just felt very real and grounded and simple.
Yeah, it's really
complex at the same time.
8th Grade, highly recommend. Next is Upgrade.
Yep.
This is another movie that when I saw the trailer for it, I was super excited.
I thought it looked kind of goofy.
Specifically the Red Band trailer. But even I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I actually did after I saw it.
But it's a fun action movie. It's fun. It's well put together. It's even got a piece of little bits of comedy spread throughout it. It's very simple in its base premise, but there's really not much to say. It's just enjoyable. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's
one thing I really liked
good.
is the camera work. The camera work was fantastic, and it made it. Even though this was a human with like a robot implant, the camera work was very robotic at times, and it just went so well with that movie. And the action was great, and like you said, the story was pretty simple, but it's effective. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it already.
And the next little feature was American Animals. I was definitely intrigued by the trailer. Overall, the one thing I was probably let down with about the movie is I thought it'd be a little bit more action-packed. I mean, it's still really good, but I was expecting it to be a little bit more quick-paced than what it was, which is my only flaw with the entire thing. But it takes a very different approach. One I was not truly expecting was that you have a mix of interviews with the real people that were involved, while also getting the recreation from the actors as they're playing it out, the scenario.
And sometimes they interweave,
and it's weird, but it works.
I watched the trailer like an hour before I went to see it. I hadn't even heard of it or like seen anything of it, and I'm kind of glad. Like I'm glad that I didn't look into it too much.
Yep.
But it kind of came out of nowhere. I hadn't really heard all that much about it, but it's really, really good.
Yep.
Interesting story. Next is a documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor? The documentary about Mr. Rogers. I grew up with Mr. Rogers. I watched him
I remember
all the time.
There was some reruns, I think mostly is what it was, because it would have been early 2000s, because I think his show was already done by then, but I liked watching. I remember liking to watch that show when I was just a little pup.
It just kind of reveals a lot about Mr. Rogers as an actual person, and also there was a lot of footage from behind the scenes of the show itself.
And you just saw how devoted he was to making kids happy, or just like giving them hope and stuff. And it was very emotional, it was well put together, and a great combination too of interviews with some of the people from his life.
Yeah, really good documentary, and one of the best just movies in general of the year.
Yeah. And
okay, so here. We still got one more.
Yep. This one. This is our last shared opinion. That's not true. That's the second one. Never mind. But the movie we got here is a little movie called Hereditary, which is obviously it's the only one on here, the best horror movie of the year.
The best horror movie of maybe like the last 5 years or so.
I'm trying to remember what else there
was. What's one that's better?
I don't know. I'm thinking of something right now.
I've watched it 3 times now. And usually with movies, unless they're really good, especially horror movies, they're not as effective and they're not nearly as good the second or the third time you watch them. But every time that I've watched it, it's been equally as good. Like it hasn't diminished
I've seen
at all.
2 times, and I agree, it hasn't diminished any way, shape, or form. Like how I enjoyed the film. It's a great. I think we've talked about it before in our top horror list, but it's a great family drama, also being a horror at the same time, but also being a story that you've never seen before. Also, so not something that's just like spammed with blockbuster horror where you get the loud jump scares with obnoxiously loud sound effects or music for the sake of the jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super effective. It's super well acted. It's super well directed, and I'm excited to see what Ari Aster does in the future.
Yep.
Next movie. This is where our lists get a little different, with one exception. But the next movie on my list is Overlord. Overlord is another one of those movies that kind of like upgraded. Kind of just came out of nowhere for me.
That's true.
Like
it looked terrible, to be honest.
You thought so. You liked it, though.
I did like it. It was okay, but it's not my favorite of the year.
It's not my favorite of the year either, but it's one of my favorites. Yeah, it was a lot better. It was a war film first, zombie film second, and it was just, the action was really great. The zombie special effects were really great. I'm not a huge fan of zombie movies all that much in general, so this was kind of a refreshing entry
It
into the
felt
genre.
very video gamey, but in the best way possible. I'm trying to think of.
And the opening scene where they're jumping out of the plane in World War II, I think was really effective and really impressive. It's it's like I said, one of those that kind of came out of nowhere, and I highly suggest it.
Now here's a movie, the next one here for me, that really did come out of absolutely nowhere. I was baffled that they decided to make this movie in the first place, and I was confused. It's Sony's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. First of all, when I heard that they were making a random-ass animated Spider-Man movie for no apparent reason, I was just like, okay. I was very confused. And also, I don't like it when superheroes do this multi-dimensions and stuff, or like there's multiple dimensions, how like, oh, there's a bunch of the same character. It just feels so lazy, because it makes me think of like, I'm getting like PTSD to The Flash, how they bring in like 80 million versions of The Flash, of how every character in his life happens to become The Flash for no reason. And then in this, it's similar to that. But I mean, here's the thing. The movie is hilarious. I was not expecting an animated movie from Sony, a Spider-Man movie, to be hilarious. It is really funny. And I think what most of it is, too, is that like there's some of his interactions, like some of his family members, that are funny, especially with his dad and certain people around him, that it feels... There's actually a couple points where I almost forgot I was watching an animated movie, because it was so funny and it was so fun to watch these characters interact. And like even the style too, because I'm sure you've seen from like the trailers too that it looks like you're in a comic book, but when you watch the whole movie, you get the whole sense of all the visuals from it, which make it really entertaining. But there's one thing that really bothers me, is the way Wilson Fisk looks, who's the Kingpin. He's just a giant box. He's literally a big black box with his white head in the middle. Like, imagine a giant big black box. Here's the big box. His head is just this little thing right in the middle. And that's his whole body. And it just looks bizarre.
I haven't seen it.
Point is, it's good. Good writing. Good comedy. Very surprised. Came out of nowhere. Blindsided my ass. Go to your next.
All right. Next movie on my list, you got three more. The Death of Stalin. I
like this.
I watched the trailer and it made me laugh out loud, and I don't like comedies. Comedies are rare to make me.
What about that Holmes and Watson trailer? We really laughed at that one.
Looks horrible. But this movie, it made me laugh out loud several points in the theater, which doesn't happen all that much for me personally. Mm-hmm. Just as political satire and just there's nice little cameos, and all the actors do such a good job, and they're so weird in the situation.
It's much more of it's like an awkward. Everyone's just being awkward, but it's just hilarious.
Kind of. Steve Buscemi's hilarious. Yep. It's just a movie if you like humor and you enjoy political stuff. I highly recommend The Death of Stalin.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not on my top stuff. Here's another movie too. I wasn't really expecting to do much better than the first one, but to be honest, I did like it more than the first one, and that was Deadpool 2. I honestly thought the first Deadpool was fairly overrated in people's excitement for it, just because it was rated R and there's a superhero character who's swearing a lot, and people get in their mind, oh, it's good, it's a good movie, swearing in a movie, a superhero movie. They just get into this weird state of mind, which doesn't make any sense. Besides that, Deadpool 2 was actually good. It was funny. It still had a pretty similar action tone to the previous movie, but instead of relying so heavily on Deadpool's like one-liners and like fourth wall breaking, they actually had some decent writing from all the characters that surround him, which make it more funny as a whole. And I love the fat New Zealand kid. Yeah. He's pretty funny.
I'm not a huge fan of superhero movies in general. I thought the first Deadpool was fine, but the second one, I agree, is definitely better. I enjoyed it too. Yeah. Another movie, this one I saw with my mom. I wasn't expecting too much, and it's not a movie that I would go out of my way to see in theater. I would see it maybe like if it came onto Netflix or I got it, rented it or something. But Love, Simon. You haven't seen it. You can't react. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did either, so don't knock it till you try it, okay?
Flat teenage drama.
It's not, though. That's the thing. I'm not reacting to your last pick's horrible, okay? Awful. So you can watch the movie.
Just talk, and then you talk.
And then you can get back to me. Love, Simon is about a teenage boy coming out to his parents and kind of just how to come out and how to he realizes he's gay, and it's just a very sweet and funny and just nice movie. You know, this list has a lot of intense action and horror, and a movie like this is nice, and it's a feel-good movie, and it's well executed, and it's well made, and it's well acted, and I highly recommend Love, Simon.
Now here's the next movie. Here's another one I really wasn't expecting to be. I thought it was going to be okay. I thought it was going to be a pretty slow drama, but it was more than I was originally expecting. So First Reformed was very good with Ethan Hawke. Not a lot of people talk about this movie. I remember seeing I remember watching an interview with Ethan Hawke talking about the movie, and it just sounded like I said, it sounded like a pretty slow drama that I didn't think I would have much interest in. But when him and I saw it, we were definitely baffled by how interesting it was, because Ethan Hawke, he's done quite a few duds in his days, but he's still done a lot of really good ones too. And he's good at acting, but he just occasionally gets thrown into those shit piles of not very good action movies or crime dramas is what he usually gets tossed into. But this was good. This is good. It was a great drama. It was interesting. It was intriguing to see where the character was going and sort of his mental breakdown sort of throughout the whole movie. It was super interesting. But for him, what do you say?
Yeah, this is my pick for my favorite movie of the year. I think it should win Oscars. I don't think it's going to. I think it should. In a perfect world, this would win Best Picture. It's not going to. It was A24 makes the best movies. A24, we have 3 of them on this list. Hereditary, 8th Grade, First Reformed.
Upgrade is too.
No, their Upgrade is Blumhouse. Blumhouse Tilt. A24 is just a fantastic company. First Reformed, I went to it. I didn't really know much about it, and I was completely blown away.
Yep.
The acting, Ethan Hawke is fantastic. The story's interesting. There's a lot to it, and there's a lot to unpack. Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the reasons why it's a fantastic movie, and my pick for the best of the year.
My number 1 is Infinity War. Okay, now listen here.
If you got to talk crap about mine, I can say.
What are you talking about? There's no. You haven't even seen it. What are you talking about?
I'm not good. So predictable. All these superhero movies.
Please stop.
I'll let you talk.
Let me speak.
This is what you did to Love, Simon.
You're right. I did do that. Avengers: Infinity War. Okay, it is the most obvious. It's a culmination of 10 years of Marvel, and I know people always say that it's so good, but it is. Now here's the thing. When I first saw it, I thought it was really good. Now here's the thing. The movie itself, I've been drawn back to it multiple times to rewatch it. I think I've already rewatched it at least 4 times. Now listen to me, okay? Every time I rewatch it, it's still super fun to watch. They did a great job. You divide up the characters instead of having them all jammed in on the same screen in the same scene, not making any sense. Because then you get other characters that get drowned out. And when you have characters separated into separate different groups, they all serve their own significance, and you get more time to see them interact with each other and have each character have their own moments throughout the film. And to have so many main characters to be combined in one film is truly just one hell of an achievement. And I got emotional too with Thanos.
They had a lot of characters in the movie.
Oh, a lot of characters. That's never been done before. That's why it's good. That's not why it's good. It's the way the characters interact with each other. Yes, you're going to like this movie more if you enjoy the Marvel movies. But if you do, and I think even for regular moviegoers seeing this movie who've never seen the other ones, they give you plenty of exposition to understand anything and everything that's going on in the movie. I think it's good for the general audience, those who have seen a limited number of the movies, and those who have seen all the movies. And I think you're goofy. And it's definitely the best of the year. There we go. That's our
Thanks for
It's
watching.
our top 10 of the year.
This
Thanks
is
for
probably
watching.
pretty long, but hopefully
It's a little lengthy,
we
you know?
kept your interest. And,
That's right.
And come back for more. Like we always say, like and subscribe and share and comment and
all those things. Okay, bye. Good luck out
Bye.
there.